Hey folks, Brian, good morning. I had a meeting this morning earlier. Um, I'm going to try and do a review of the Red Book of Magic. I say try because obviously I'm not going to read through every spell. I'm not going to give detailed descriptions stuff like that, but I'm going to pick through um, interesting things. As a GM, this jumps out at me kind of stuff, and my current intent is to do this, alphabetically. So I'll go through all the A spells kind of thing. At least the A spells that I think have something that should be discussed. But we're going to begin with the introduction, right? The first thing is, what is magic? Magic is interplay between all the players, the characters, right, in the mortal world, and God time, right? Rune magic is wielding some fraction of the god's rune power, and this kind of, this concept is great. The mechanical application makes me wonder if maybe it's been downplayed, that maybe rune magic should be more than just twice as powerful as spirit magic. Maybe there's kind of variable. Certain deities have greater impact than lesser deities, maybe, or their runes have lesser impact. Yeah, in the back of my head, I'm thinking it should be just more just double. But that's my opinion. Spirit magic. Now, it used to be back in RQ2 and 3 that you memorized spirit magic, right? So it was intelligence points you're using up. But here's your charisma, it's your ability, your personality, your ability to manipulate and control spiritual entities around you. It's kind of almost vague that way, and I haven't quite got a good grip on that. But it says here that spirit magic involves communication with the spirits that reside in the natural energy currents of the world. Okay, terminology. And this is something else that, as I was looking at this morning, going, do I really need to do an introductory section or just jump into things going? Because I've got one of my players is playing a sorcerer, a Lancromite sorcerer. But because words mean things, we often get, well, often, sometimes we get a little distracted or confused because we're used to old terminology instead of new terminology. Because intensity used to be, intensity was the total. Strength, duration. Well, there's a thing about intensity that was getting confused with the sorcery piece. But since this book does not consider sorcery or draconic magic, which I'm really interested to see what that happens, what that's all about. Intensity is the strength of the spell. So Blade Sharp 2. Intensity is 2. If you're using 2 points of shield, that's a rune intensity of 2, but it's a spirit intensity of 4. So that can get confusing too, right? But each rune point is considered 2 points of spirit magic. They put that ratio back out there. Okay, a ritual are conditions that are necessary for things like summoning, enchanting, or enhancing. There we go. With some kind of skill, spells are being cast. I'm talking about time and duration kind of things, right? Except when you're summoning an elemental, because that's a combat spell, so it's got to be now. I think maybe it should be a ritual, in which case you need to actually bind that elemental into something if you want to be able to pull it out now. But my opinions. Okay. Time and power consuming. Rituals consume time and power. One thing, and as we come across it, we may come across it, but I do not recall that ritual spells discussing the ritual mechanic from the Blue Book about you spend so much time, you get a bonus to your casting, right? Some rituals, it's a half hour. I don't remember there being actual half hour ones, but I know there are hour-long rituals, day-long rituals. Well, do you get your ritual modifier to increase your chances of success? Maybe. Okay. A spell. A combination of arcane sounds and phrases, subtle gestures, and the expenditure of magic points that therefore create a change in the environment. Certain spells have generic name, parentheses, specific thing, like detect substance. Now, obviously, it's not every substance, and certain cults have certain substances that they do detect for, but not others. So, that kind of control mechanism in there that, it's based on what your cult is. Okay, active spells require concentration. This we're going to jump onto a couple times. If they cast another spell, or if they enter spirit combat, or they take damage, or something similar happens, you have to make a concentration roll in order to maintain your active spell, and that is intelligence times 3. You're also limited to how far you can move. Your movement is limited to 4, and you, quote, cannot fight. So that's going to come up when we discuss Fireblade and some of those other things. Okay. Enchantments are permanent magical effects because they take permanent power to cast. You're taking a piece of your soul and entrapping it into the environment. I've got, it's important to me. Okay, stackable and stockable. Non-stackable. If the spell is stackable, you can cast more than 1 point. Stackable is just rune, not spirit. So rune spells like shield and axe trance, right? As you add more rune points of that spell, you get multiples of the effect. Good to go. Summon spells are often rituals, and variable and non-variable spells. This kind of ties into stackable. Variable has various levels of intensity that you can cast. Non-variable are just 2 or 3 or 1, whatever it is. Okay, skipping over a lot of these subparagraphs. Spell range and area of effect. The area of effect of a spell must lie wholly, that means in entirety, right, within the range of the casting. So it's not like your range is out to your range is the center point. No, the outer range is the outer rim of the area of effect. You've got to keep it all inside. I like that. Normal range for spirit magic is 50 meters. Normal range for rune spells is 160 meters. Some spells do have specific range modifiers. Temporal spells. They have duration, right? Spirit magic lasts for 2 minutes. Rune magic generally lasts for 15 minutes, obviously. Some spells are special and do different things. Resistance roll is your power versus power. But if either party lacks power, you use their magic points. It's nice to have that pointed out. It's kind of assumed in some of the other stuff I've done, but it's nice to have it actually pointed out. If they lack power or magic points, in other words, they have neither, they cannot resist a spell being cast upon them. I believe there's certain undead that are that way, like skeletons. I don't think skeletons have magic points. I know zombies do. Wraiths definitely do. Wraiths have power. Okay. I'll have to look through, see what that might actually apply to. Okay. Increasing your chances of success. There's some stuff, excuse me, it's duplicated out of the blue book, meditation. And this is something that I've had confused, right? Because in the blue book, ritual practices are part of meditation, if I remember right, sequentially wise. But here we're talking about, okay, meditation. You can use your meditation skill to increase your casting percentage, opportunity, your chance to succeed in casting, right? But it also takes time. So you spend a melee round, you make your meditation roll, you get a +5. Spend 2 melee rounds, make your meditation roll, increase 10. Up to 50 melee rounds, spending 10 minutes, make your roll +25. Obviously, that's not a combat mechanic. Incidentally, this reminds me about augmenting with skills, which we will cover here as well. Yeah, 1 2 melee rounds. So we'll discuss that later. But the similar concept, different mechanics. Okay, so with meditation, you maximize it +25. Meditation cannot be combined with rituals because ritual practices take longer time. And I believe that this is their delineation point. Up to 50 melee rounds, meditation roll. But for ritual practices, you don't make a roll for. You just automatically get the bonus because you spent that much time. Interesting. Okay. While meditating, you can take no other action except you can parry or dodge. Why parry or dodge but not attack? I mean, you make a concentration roll to do it. In fact, I would almost. In fact, talk about concentration here. Okay. If you take damage while attempting to meditate, you must roll your intelligence times 2. That's a concentration roll. If you fail, you've lost your concentration. You must start over to get the bonus. Well, I would say make your concentration roll if anything other thing happens. But it does talk about here in active spells that you cannot fight if you're active doing concentrations. Think about this some more. Okay, ritual practices. You can increase your chance to cast any spell successfully, including ritual spells, specifically ritual spells. Oh, here we go, including ritual. So if your ritual does take an hour, you get that plus 35 automatically, maybe. Interesting. Okay. You can use ritual practice to increase the use of a rune or perform some magical skill like worship through ritual practice. These practices allow you to gather and focus your psychic energies. Obviously, the longer time, the greater the increase. You can eat and you can sleep during ritual practices, but do little else. If they take time away, like go on an adventure or get sick or give birth, you deduct that time for the actual time spent in the ritual. It's almost like you pause it. Okay, we're done. We're going to do the same. We come back, start again. Spend another hour. I don't know. That's kind of weird. But they put the mechanic in there for you to use, right? If you're doing this long ritual, but hey, we got to go rescue the princess. Okay, I got to cut off here. Spend a week doing this, so I lose a week of my total time. Okay. Half an hour plus 30, 1 hour plus 35, 1 day plus 50, 1 week plus 60, a whole season plus 75. Spend 20 years on your ritual practice and you get a plus 100. What kind of negatives are you messing with in order to get a plus 100, in order to compensate for with a plus 100? I'm not sure. Although maybe it gets critical successes, so it doesn't take any magic points. That's an idea. Okay, augmenting with skills. Okay, and this is something that my players don't really mess with much, but I like the concept. Dancing or singing to augment your spell casting, or using a magical language, right? Generally, though, they're fairly low unless you've got a specific occupation that does a lot of singing and dancing, in which case I want to say priest is like this. So if you take the priestess, occupation, your dancing are usually pretty decent. So it might be handy to use that to augment your spell casting. It certainly looks cool. You can also use it for other skills as determined by the GM. But it takes time, right? If you only spend 1 melee round, your skill you're using to augment with is decreased by half. So if you have a 50% sing or dance and you're using that to augment your spell casting, you only have a 25 if you only spend 1 melee round doing it. Spend 2 melee rounds, then you get your full percentage chance. If you spend it, each additional round you spend gives you a plus 5 to your augmenting. Or am I wrong? Whoever spends 1 melee round performing augmenting skill. Yeah. Excuse me. Your augmenting skill. It says plus for each additional round spent performing the augmenting skill prior to casting, the chance of success increases by 5. Chance of success augmenting skill can never be increased. Okay, so you can increase your augmenting skill by doing it longer, but no more than twice its value. So that 50% dancing, you can only increase it up to 100%. That's going to take you 2 rounds for the 50, plus another 10 rounds with plus 5 each to get it up to 100. Again, if you're attempting to augment with a skill, you can do no other actions, right? If you, this says not even parrying or dodging. Oh, I missed that too on meditation. Not even. I need to circle that. Not even parrying or dodging. But can you parry or dodge while active a spell? Those cannot fight, which should include parry or dodge. Okay, there it is. If you are active spell, doing meditation, augmenting with a skill, you are wide open. No defenses. Okay, but again, if you take damage, you have to make that concentration roll of intelligence ×3, and if you fail, it's broken. You have to start over. And that is the end of the introduction. So next time, well, maybe I should do, we're at 15 minutes. I'll do the rune magic introduction with the A category spell. A numbered? That's not right. A listed spells. Happy gaming.